each country celebrating entrepreneurship in their nation. We are celebrating the entrepreneurs, we are celebrating the ecosystem players who support the entrepreneurs, we are celebrating the opportunity which we are given to be able to do this business and to be able to see an entrepreneur grow. This week is unique this year because of the circumstances we have. Usually it is filled with big events and so many people coming together. This week is slightly different. It is, we're going to have to use technology and possibly be able to scale in a way which we are not normally acquainted to. However, one thing which we know is that entrepreneurs need to be celebrated more than ever. Most of us are in the space where we support people who are doing businesses, and periods have never been tougher. There are clients of ours who are school owners who have been out of business for close to 2 years. There are clients who are in the hospitality industry who have had to recreate themselves totally. There are clients who are part of value chains and they didn't know what hit them. There are stationary shops and processing factories which we are feeding schools. All those clients have been going through a rather tough time. However, one thing which we have noticed is that if there are any people who are going to lead us through this period, it is the entrepreneurs because of one gift they have, the gift of resilience. The gift of resilience, they are more resilient, they are more innovative. They will keep innovating and work out. They are not people who lie down and allow to be run over. That is something which is specifically unique to entrepreneurs, and it is that energy which we hope that we can harness, and that's the thing which we have, recovering stronger. Where are we saying recovering stronger? Because we know that the entrepreneurs we are dealing with are going to walk out of this much, much stronger. So it is against that background that we come together here today. We hope that together we can be able to walk this journey, not just to excel, but to walk this journey to be able to get out of this situation strong. So I want to welcome all of you and thank you so much for being here. We are going to have to do many activities together. The Global Entrepreneurship Week is about ecosystem players doing specific activities. We're going to have to do that. And as we do that, we are going to request each partner to come up with 1 or 2 activities to do during this week. As you do this activity, what you are in essence saying is that I'm celebrating the entrepreneurs I work with, but I'm part of the bigger picture of a global entrepreneurship. We want to thank our partners, the Kampala Ecosystem Entrepreneur Initiative. We want to thank them for this. We want to thank Uma for being here and all the other partners in the ecosystem who are with us today. We are very grateful to you and we look forward to working together strongly during this period. I'll stop there for now and I'll hand back to Abhi.
Thank you, Ronald. I'd like to briefly introduce the people in the room. Please.
Greeting entrepreneurs. I'm Moses Onono. I come from northern Uganda, specifically Gulu City and Gulu District. I have been part of the global entrepreneurship movement since the beginning. I've been close to Enterprise Uganda since 2005, moving through this. I run a number of enterprises. One that has taken a lot of my time is Homa Farms Limited. Homa Farms Limited is in Gulu. Our mission is really support transformation of the business in all. And in a year we work with about 2,000 farmers. Thank you.
Thank you. Going to skip straight to Roy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roy Masika. I work as the leader at Imuka Access. And Imuka basically plays a role in supporting early stage businesses to become investment ready and connect to investors. Since 2020, we've been running a key activity called Pitch Fest. And this year we did regional. We were just last week in Mira, Margarita. It was still a hybrid, so we sort of learned how to navigate through the pandemic. So we are very keen to connect with the different players and see how we can collaborate because we're working towards the national election in November. So looking for the engagement part. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. I should also ask Rose.
My name is Rose Kalagambe. I'm a budding entrepreneur and currently I'm running Portions Limited. We have a restaurant and a food store. Yeah. I'm excited to be here and we want to wear this.
Then we have, thank you, Rose. I'll just want to introduce himself later. We also have a number of people online. And just have the introduction of people online. Since somebody live, Brain. I think Brain has stepped out briefly. Geoffrey, introduce yourself.
Thank you. My connectivity may not be so good, but I'm Geoffrey Hakuny from Junior Achievement Uganda.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Brain here.
All right, Brain.
Yeah, morning everybody, and thanks for having me. Brain Azemchap, founder of Azem's Value Add, which is some entrepreneurship promotion consultancy. What we do, we help entrepreneurs launch or grow their businesses, and we help them restructure also for those who are facing performance issues. We are now working on a project with mompreneurs, and we'll be training skilling women entrepreneurs, mainly mothers, over the next 3 weeks with 2-hour classes every day, every Saturday and Sunday, on growth and on marketing to help them survive the impact of COVID. Thank you.
Okay. Immaculate.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Immaculate Nasuna. I'm an entrepreneur and managing director at Oracle Edge. Happy to be here. Yes.
Kevin.
Good morning, everyone. Kevin Asinde, a Marine Financial Group. We offer outsourced bookkeeping for SMEs and also work on community building in relation to entrepreneurship. So thanks, everyone.
Lucky.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucky. I work with a Marine Financial Group. We do bookkeeping for SMEs. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kiza. Margaret. This feels like a roll call, eh? All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Glad to be here. My name is Margaret Nakakande, and I am a director, Eloquent Business Solutions Limited. It's a consultant firm that measures in strengthening and structuring business, management and human resource functions for different business enterprises and corporations. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Moses?
Right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Moses Morok. I'm a business lawyer. I'm passionate about improving access to advice by businesses across Africa. And we try to leverage my firm with the consultant. I was working to leverage using technology to increase access to information, legal information, and support by businesses across the country. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
Thank you, Abid. Good morning, entrepreneurs. My name is Paul Sengoba. I am a founder for a tourism entity called Roots with Passion Safaris. We deal with local and regional tourism, and also a BDS consultant. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Proceed. We'll proceed from Masikops, then Vivian. Okay, proceed, yeah.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yes, I hope we can hear me loud and clear. So my name is Percy Adom, and I'm from Mexico. I'm glad to be part of this very important meeting. Thank you.
And last but not least, Vivian.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Vivian Achan. I'm the programs lead at Challenges Uganda. We do provide business development services to enterprises through projects and also on an individual basis. Currently, we are working on the Youth to Work program where we skill young people with business management skills and then place them in enterprises where they can offer business development services using these skills. We're also running the bite-sized energy
Vivian, we lost you there.
system. So.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I don't know how far I had gone, but yeah.
Okay.
We provide. Okay, cool.
We also have Kabali Soul, but I think it's just joining in. So these are some of the business service providers that we have. Generally, the network has over 100 business service providers in various fields. And we also throwing this live. The main drive we're having today is, can we have a conversation between the manufacturing sector and the business ecosystem, such that we have good engagement throughout this Global Entrepreneurship Week. Global Entrepreneurship Week is going to run in the second week of November. And between now and then, we are hoping the convention can begin such that the ecosystem actors evolve to meet the needs of the manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector contributes 21% of Uganda's GDP. And interestingly, also is 66% of Uganda's electricity. Maybe they should be paying more of the bill. But so right now, Before we invite Dan, I'd like to tell the people on the venue that breakfast is ready. Please first pick a cup of coffee, a meal. Over to you, Dan.
All right. Where is the screen pointing?
That's okay. No, I don't need the screen. Don't worry about the screen. Okay. Unboxing. Yes, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daniel Munji. I am the Executive Director of the Uganda Manufacturers Association. The UMA, I think, is more known for the Uganda International Trade Fair. At least some of you, or if not all of you, have interacted with it in that capacity. But for the people in the manufacturing ecosystem, it goes well beyond the trade fair. It is a body that brings together manufacturers and manufacturing support entities. And the aim of the UMA is really to ensure that manufacturing takes root in this country, that it succeeds. We are very much driven by the need to make manufacturing contribute more to Uganda's GDP. For those of you who've had a chance to read the National Development Plan, it actually points to manufacturing as a key game changer for this economy, both in terms of job creation, in terms of tax contribution, but also in terms of changing lives. Today we have 1,500 members spread out across the country. We really run the gamut all the way from the smallest SMEs to the very large corporate entities. So you will have a mom and pop shop, which is manufacturing maybe condiments as one of our members. But you'll also have on the other end of the scale companies like roofings, like Uganda Breweries, the bigger players in the market. And the reason why we are agnostic about size is we have a firm belief that even the smallest can become the biggest given time. 27 years ago today, Roofings Limited was a shop selling nails and pipes imported into the country. Today, it's one of the bigger players in the market. And this is the case for so many other players in the manufacturing ecosystem. My task today was given to me was to really speak to you about one, the situation as it is for manufacturing in this country today. Number two, where we see the future as far as we are concerned in the manufacturing sector. And then number three is how we can collaborate with you, the business support entities, to ensure that manufacturing then grows by leaps and bounds. Just to give a bit of a snapshot of where we are, certainly COVID has played havoc with a lot of our usual way of doing business. The fact that we are having a hybrid meeting today just goes to illustrate this, that some are online and some are physically present here. Now you can imagine that in the manufacturing space, which is highly tactile, hybridization is very hard to implement, because the way we've set up our manufacturing in this country is largely labor intensive. It requires people, it requires proximity, and thus one of the struggles that our members have had to deal with is how do you undertake a contact business in the era of COVID-19? It becomes extremely difficult. Relatedly, as measures have come in to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, measures such as the lockdowns, measures such as limitations on intercity travel, measures such as limitations on access to the country. These measures have meant that access to market has become severely constrained. Little wonder that our recent poll of our members indicates that about 60% of them have had to cut production by some level or another.
it indicates that they are seeing a downward trend as far as market access is concerned, with ranges from 25 for the bigger players to as high as 80% market decline for some of the smaller players, which is a big impact. As it is today, this then points to the need for ecosystem players such as yourself to then think how you can assist this sector and other business sectors to go out of the current situation. The situation is further made quite difficult by the fact that we're on the cusp of moving into a continental bloc. The African Continental Free Trade Area is here, took effect on 1st January this year. As such, we are looking at 1.2 billion people. The combined GDP of $3.4 trillion. Now, this is an opportunity and a threat. An opportunity because, of course, bigger market means more people to access. Threat because as we aim to enter these markets, the people in those markets are also aiming to enter Uganda. And they aim to enter Uganda at a time when, while the rest of the region is opening up schools, opening up businesses, we are still at a closed stage. Now, how do we compete with these new entrants at that level? The other bit, of course, is that we're also seeing a very big growth in issues of cybersecurity risks. I can tell you that over the last 1.5 years alone, I know a company that has lost $5 million to phishing attacks. In Uganda, yes, a company in Uganda that lost $5 million. I know companies that have lost slightly less, but as far as we know, the combined loss due to cybersecurity risks is upwards of $15 million that we've been able to ascertain so far in the manufacturing ecosystem alone over the last 1.5 years. The other bit, of course, is that as always, challenges still remain with regard to access to credit. And this is even made worse than the situation we are in currently, where certainly, given the level of production that is down, several of the lenders are unable to then provide financing. I will later advise on what the ecosystem can do on this, but for now, it's a key issue. You talk to the average business, they'll tell you they need financing. Our average needs of financing in the manufacturing sector are for financing that extends beyond the usual tenor that is provided by commercial banks, which is 3 to 5 years. Manufacturing naturally needs 5 and above, usually 10 years, for you to even start thinking of breaking even. Manufacturing also needs interest rates that are affordable. Now, as ecosystem players, you have the unique opportunity to have visibility of both what's going on in this country and what's going on internationally. I've been told that there are VCs and the PE firms that are online are here with us today. And the look at alternative sources of credit is one that is critical for ecosystem players if you are to be relevant to the manufacturing sector. Recently, as recently as 3 weeks ago, working with one of the PE firms here, we concluded a $3 million deal of financing for a greenfield that is looking at value addition in cassava. Now, for the longest time, of course, our farmers have suffered with cassava that is not sold on. But now there is an opportunity for them to add value, and this then trickles down, downwards into the economy. But if you look at this kind of investment and you do the research, you find that we need about 6 of those in order to check the amount of cassava we produce as a country. And therein is the opportunity. But as ecosystem players, we need to interrogate where these opportunities are, and we need to appreciate how we can then plug in and assist in utilizing these. Now, just to dig a little deeper into the African Continental Free Trade Area as an opportunity for ecosystem players and where these opportunities are, I'll tell you the story of the DRC. That today, a simple item like milk in the DRC is imported from Belgium and Netherlands. Does that mean that we do not have milk producers in Uganda? No, it doesn't. We do have excess milk in Uganda. In fact, over the last year and a half, the factory gate price per litre has fallen from 1,200 shillings to close to 400 shillings because market access is a key issue there. If you look at the fact that meat is one of the key imports into the DRC, but this meat comes from as far as Brazil, as far as France, it tells you that perhaps our businesses may not appreciate the opportunities that are next door to us, and that as ecosystem players, I've had a lot of entities dealing in DDS on the thought. As ecosystem players, perhaps is an opportunity to interrogate these market opportunities, to package them better, and then be able to get our Ugandan businesses to take advantage of them. You've heard of the kilometers of roads that we are building into the DRC. And the question has always been, if I have a pothole in Nakuru, why should you be building roads into the Congo? It's because of this. It's because of the fact that there's an $8 billion market right next door. And that in spite of the fact that we share the border that extends, I think, 1,200 kilometers or so, the biggest exporter out of East Africa into the DRC is Kenya. And no, they don't take their freight by air. They take it on Ugandan roads to the DRC. We need to be able, as ecosystem players, to get this data and be able to analyze it and provide key insights for the manufacturing sector and for other players to access some of these markets. The other bit, of course, is that even as we talk of Congo, we need to also understand what are the trade routes available to us. I've talked about Congo. South Sudan is definitely a no-brainer because it's right next to us. Yes, there are challenges, but the reason why you are in this ecosystem is that you eat challenges for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The discussion should be, if the challenge is security, how can we as ecosystem players perhaps provision for an export guarantee scheme that then ensures that the risk is minimized into these countries? Issues on market surveillance. Unfortunately, we do not have as a country the budget to then enter markets, to send teams to markets, to do market development. That's what other countries do. Denmark, for example, has a significant team that goes into new markets to ascertain what are the opportunities, how do they relate with our abilities as a country, and who can we bring into this country. We don't have that. But private sector is willing to pay for this information. And as sector players, there's an opportunity there for them to document this and send it to us, for us to know where we need to go and how we can access some of these areas. Potential products into these new markets. As it is today, it takes a mortgage to go to Malawi for us to know that all Ugandan products can go to Malawi and can be appreciated. There is no leader entity that is going into these markets and ascertaining this on our behalf. And that makes it significantly difficult. I've had a lot of, on the call, some people dealing with skilling. And I will share with a bit the map of Africa that showcases the zones in as far as language is concerned. In Uganda, finding someone who speaks both English and French It's extremely difficult. But we're saying we're entering an African continental free trade area where part of the market, including the DRC actually, is a market that speaks French. We are certainly not going to go and speak Uganda in Kinshasa. Neither are we going to speak with Soga in Cameroon. What are we doing around the skilling space to ensure that the people we bring out are future-proofed? And this brings me to my next topic then, around future-proofing as the ecosystem. And on this, I say that we shouldn't train for today. We shouldn't be ecosystem supporters for today. We should be ecosystem supporters for tomorrow. And that means that one, when we talk about business support services, the discussion shouldn't be, how can I help you do a strategic plan? Strategic plan assistance is available. It's a dime a dozen. There are too many players in that sector. The discussion must be, what new tools are we bringing to you to assist you to leverage the opportunities available? And by this I mean things like business analytics. Today, it is difficult for business to understand where within its logistics they are losing money. But the beauty of data analytics, the beauty of business analytics, is that it's then able to tell us at what particular points we are losing money. It's able to tell us whether we are optimally staffed or understaffed. It's gone as far as being able to tell us when machines are likely to break down. The beauty of that then is that as a manufacturer, I'm able to plan ahead and say, look, because of the analytics I've established over the last 2 years, I've found that when I see a machine lower its capacity by 2%, which means it's en route to break down, I should order parts so that I don't suffer the 3 months it takes for tools to come from China into Uganda. That is where you provided support to businesses. The other bit, of course, is automation. A bit spoke to the fact that the EPRC report shows that companies have had to downscale, and it's true. We've had significant job losses in our sector. But there's also a realization that as Uganda, we cannot continue focusing on labor-intensive manufacturing. Our focus must be on ways to automate our businesses, but cost-effectively automate them. Today, we have a budding IT ecosystem in Uganda, but to date, our companies are having to pay for proprietary ERPs that come out of the box. Those proprietary ERPs do not appreciate the details on the ground, of course, because they are made for US-based companies. But because of that, a company is paying $2 million to install an ERP system, and then it's paying an annual license of $250,000. This is money that's externalized. And we say there are no opportunities in Uganda. There are opportunities in Uganda. We just need to tease them out. The other one is on security optimization. I told you about the phishing attacks that we had as a country. The fact that we've lost nearly $15 million in the manufacturing sector to phishing attacks. We need security expertise. We need to be able to push our systems to protect us against such attacks, because as people get more disparate, as the world moves, the target then moves to Africa. Because in the US, they're iterating every day, they're finding new solutions to security breaches. In Uganda, we are not yet there, and we need the support of the ecosystem in doing this. The other bit, of course, is on de-risking. I talked about the fact that our interest rates are 20 21, 22%, depending on which commercial bank you're talking to. When you talk to the commercial banks, their feedback is that the level of risk in the sector is extremely high. The level of risk in Uganda is extremely high. The ecosystem players can play a role in hand-walking SMEs to proper governance, in hand-walking SMEs to proper accountability, in developing pipelines of investment-ready companies that can then be presented to funders who would be very interested in financing, but say, wait a minute, we have significant challenges with the risk profile. We don't know what the risk profile is. And it's a key issue. And we know this because on the daily, we get people walking into our offices and saying, what can we do about financing? But there's an absence, there's still an absence of entities that are willing to hand-walk companies into compliance. Enterprise Uganda is doing a good job, but it can't do it alone. We need more players in that ecosystem. And we urge you to take that opportunity up. Of course, even as we speak of that, there's also the fact that there's a lot of fragmentation in the business support ecosystem. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. And even when it does, there is no desire to merge efforts. We have 3 companies all looking at skilling youth, for example, as an example. And yet, perhaps if they work together, they will cover more ground and will then have more impact. The other bit on that is that the ecosystem players tend to talk a lot to each other and very little to their own takers of some of the services that are offered. And the challenge here is we then develop very nice solutions, but that are not solving problems. There are solutions in mind, but on the ground, those solutions cannot be matched. As a manufacturing association, we look at the same, we welcome everyone available to come and partner with us. To partner with us on data, on sourcing data, on analyzing data, on appreciating the actual situation on the ground, because then we can define solutions that speak to the need that's on the ground. The final bit on this is on resilience building. There's that running joke that has been going around now that says that it's only when the tide goes out that you know who has been swimming without grips. And the tide is out, and many people are naked. The reason is our mitigation mechanisms as a country, as manufacturing, as an ecosystem, are still extremely lacking. Risk mitigation is a key area where we need support as manufacturing and where all businesses need support. How do you plan for risk? How do you analyze the risk profile that's before you? And how do you ensure that when these risks happen, you're able to survive them? I'll tell you that talking to the average manufacturer, they'll tell you that they had anticipated at the beginning of COVID that they would have maybe 9 months, a year tops to deal with. And then they will be back to normal. So in their projections, in their plans, that's what they work for. Today we are pushing 2 years. If you think the number of companies that have closed in the past 1.5 years is big, wait until you do the analysis for the 2-year mark. You'll be shocked at the figures. Because even those that had survived are now against the ropes. How do we help them to transcend this period so that going forward, we don't lose the trajectory as far as jobs? Manufacturing has been said to produce 4 jobs for every 1 direct job created. So when you lose a manufacturing entity, Take the number of jobs in that area, multiply it by 4 to understand the indirect impact that this is having. But bigger than that is the impact of tax collection. Bigger than that is the impact on the economy in terms of our ability to export items. And we need assistance there. We also need assistance in market access, finding new markets, preparing for new markets, but also getting our message out to these markets. That's something that the ecosystem players can assist us with. As an association, we are very happy to be part of these discussions. We are very happy to talk to anyone who is interested in working with us. Our address is known. It's the commercial grounds at the moment. And we know that there is a lot of potential. I know I've cast probably a picture of you on what's happening, but it's just a reality check. Mine was to give a reality check to say, are the things we are doing really pointing to where we need to go, or do we need to re-examine ourselves? And I think we need to re-examine. We need to break the models that have been traditionally in place. We need to think afresh. And the ecosystem players have to play a key role in this. But you also have to pay significant interest to the policy environment in this country. The issues of discussing about taxes are not issues for only the businesses. They concern you. Because as an ecosystem player who is sourcing financing from an external party, who is partnering with an external entity, and at the end of the day, you're paying 30% in capital gains tax, that has an impact on who your partners are. So pay attention to the tax cycle, pay attention to the macroeconomic policies, because then you'll be able to make a difference. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hand over to Abhi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan, very much. Please, John, we're going to get a few questions. My mind is still reading on the Congo thing, how Congo is importing milk and meat from Europe and Brazil. And people in Uganda are carrying milk away. How Kenyans are sending goods to Congo. How we cannot have a projection of when machines are going to break down so we can prepare early. This is weird. I'm actually now just been posting the conversation in IT groups and technical groups because I had sort of limited it to the traditional business support actors. But it seems that we have to have cast a wide net to solve these issues. Next, we're going to just have a bit of feedback and a few Q&As. I will let Ronald lead this. Please post in chat, and also we can start with a few queries here for people who are present. And please, there's breakfast. Please, it's all right, pick a plate. I'll show you how to eat. Anyway. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dan, for that. It's not a doom statement, by the way. I thought it was very clear. Did we enjoy it? People online, people in the room. I don't know, possibly we'll let Dan have a seat and we will ask him to do, we're going to take a couple of questions regarding the submission which he has made. I think in my opinion, one of the things which came out very clearly is as BDS providers, we need to rethink our role in pushing the people we serve over the line. The numbers you gave us about the other milk really can't get to a place which is less than 1,000 kilometers away. It is a sad thing, isn't it? And even the cows are closer to the border. The cows are the other side. At the very least, the milk should get there. Yeah. So there are a number of things. So I'll take a couple of questions. We'll do 15 minutes, and then we will wrap up our day. We want to be out by 9:30. But I'll take some questions from the room, from the people online. I believe you are supposed to manage my online questioning. Yeah. So if there are any people in the room who want to make some comments, any responses, Moses, started.
I'll start. Thank you, Mr. Birungi. I think it was a wonderful presentation with a lot of challenges that we have been experiencing. I think many of us who sit here have experienced those challenges. In 2006, our company went to Sudan, Southern Sudan. We got a $4 million project. We go and execute. We met Eritreans, we met Ethiopians, we met Kenyans. Eritreans, Kenyans, and Ethiopians were moving as corporations. Ugandans have been moving as individuals. Since to date, I remember one time the former president of Kenya, Mwai Kibaki, telling Kenyans that educated people should never fear politics and politics. And I think the biggest challenge we have, I don't know, is that our educated people and the elite business people fear politics and politics. And that is why I think we are going to fail to walk. Kenya will walk over us, Congo, because they influence policies around home and take it to the business, the other side. I don't know what Uganda Manufacturers Association is doing so that we create more advocacy around the business or the different entities. To me, if you try to look at advocacy forums in Uganda, you don't actually see it. I was a member of the meat producers people, Preline. Currently, I'm a member of UDGA, timber growers. We can't sell our timbers. They will tell you, no, you have no trees in Uganda. But Kenyans come and pick our trees. No policy around manufacturing trees into products, which could employ thousands of people. And Uganda can beat Kenya, all these other countries, hand down in timber manufacturing. I don't think even at UMA, you know much about timber manufacturing. It's a all gray area, because I think advocacy and positive political advocacy in terms of groupings of people are lacking. So I don't know what we are going to do about this. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. Yes. Advocacy and policies.
Thank you, Mr. Birungi, for the interesting and insightful speech. I have a very interesting interaction. Last year, as we noticed, obviously the manufacturers were affected. I had discussed with some financial people who work with, can we propose something? I think we had just had a meeting, it was a forum meeting which had just happened after. And actually I had interacted with some of the colleagues, shared 3 books for our members. I shared and I said, all you need to do is if you can mobilize, you can have these people share what they have to offer, and those also interested can participate. But I won't mention the names, but you are deliberately informed that, you know what, even informing these members is a cost. So I said, I thought this is for the value of your members who actually survive. Is there any way we can actually collaborate and help these members? So I found it very interesting that within
there's still a barrier, and sometimes it's not probably just in the organization, but in many of our organizations, sometimes we want to solve the problem, but we also don't appreciate that room to collaborate allows us to solve the problem. So one of the challenges I found, and I had to go back to tell the for not seeing to actually reach out or communicate even if it is a medium, they say that one comes at. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are a couple of comments coming through online before I invite Dan to talk, to share with us on them. Yeah, there are a couple of people saying thank you for the message from Saul, from Dr. Edward Isingoma. Very good, Daniel, and I agree with your impact thoughts a lot. So Dr. Isingoma is from Pearl Capital. Doctor, how are you? They've worked with UMA a few times, and you are aligned to the development impact perspective and a key ecosystem player. I think that's Dr. Isingoma. Thank you for that. Doctor, thanks for being part of this call. Proceed from Massicops asks, how is UMA leveraging on the support of other ecosystem players to address issues around government policies to provide an enabling environment for Uganda's manufacturers? I'll give a chance to anyone who is online who wants to speak up. I'll give you a moment, then we will invite Dan to respond. If you want to comment, any comment, you put up your hand, and then we can be able to receive it. All right, Dan, possibly you can come and answer this.
On policy-based management, how do you create awareness on policy? How do you advocate? And this is something we've grappled with as an organization as well for the longest time. I think our key realization was that policy is not determined in us talking to each other. This is a precursor, but policy is made by government, and you have to be willing to engage these government entities. I tell you that just yesterday we were in a meeting with the Commissioner General of Uganda Revenue Authority on tax issues. Next week we have an engagement with the Ministry of Trade on the same issue. Next week we have another meeting with the Ministry of Finance. The first step is understanding who are the key value chain actors as far as policy is concerned. For the timber sector, on our side, we do have a furniture sector, which is a direct beneficiary of the timber sector. And I'll take your contact because one of the things we're working on now is we are doing a value chain mapping to understand the interplay between the different levels of the value chain. How does timber get from the forest to the processing mill, to the drying center, to the furniture maker, and then onwards to the market? Because then, having understood that and the weaknesses at every point, we are then able to push forward policy. But my bigger discussion on policy, and this still also answers policy, in as far as liberating other ecosystem players is concerned, is that we have two key needs. One is that being a manufacturing association doesn't mean we are the experts in manufacturing. The experts are the people who own the factories. So one of our key strengths is that in determining policy suggestions, we call on the people who are actually in the field, the people who understand this. We don't do that on our own. So they will then tell us that, look, tax X, which has been imposed on item X, is going to affect us in ABC. We document, and that's the basis for going forward. The second bit is that we then also do data collection that relates to these sectors. if you're going to government and saying that you want to have that this new measure is going to negatively impact the economy, you need to quantify and say these are the number of jobs in this sector, this is the contribution to tax. If you do this, this is going to be the impact. Real figures. That requires research and that requires data collection. So that's part of what we are doing. Relatedly, crossing on leveraging other ecosystem players. One of the things we're working on now is that realizing the gap in tax-related BDS support. We are at advanced stages of working with one of the ecosystem players to provide advisory services for all our members at no cost. Because we believe that one of the key challenges of businesses is failure to understand the tax code. It's quite complex in so many different roles. I need someone in the center to advise. So the advisory service is coming on board and we're working with one of the ecosystem partners. We're also working with entities like PCP. I'm glad Dr. Singoma is online. And because of leveraging his strengths, we've been able to introduce some key players to him for financing and for preparation for financing. And because of that, we are seeing traction in the number of entities that are coming in to seek this kind of alternative financing. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's something we keep working on. Imoka, on the issue of cost of communication, apologies on that. But the GEW organization, we do have, when I was at the URI celebration, there was a mention of Judases and Simon Peters. So you could have landed on the Judas, but you'll also be glad to learn that since you last talked to them, we've had a significant structuring as an entity, and we're now more streamlined and more forward-looking. So don't give up on us. Come back. Let's have a conversation. And these are our laid out team and chats. I mean, my email address is everywhere, and so is the main email address. But I'm also on social media, and I try to respond as quickly as I can. So come on board. Please come on board. Don't give up just yet, because it's not in the nature of the entrepreneurs to give up. It's supposed to be resilient. So if one door closes, find a ventilator and still get into the room. I don't know if I missed any question. I think that's all.
All right, great. So thanks a lot, guys. I was checking whether a couple of messages online. Yeah, I think Dan, thanks for that submission. It's clear that there is a lot of work to get done. One of the lessons I like most in entrepreneurship literature is a lesson on locus of control. And the argument in the lesson is that there are things which are in your external locus of control and things which are in your internal locus of control. The thing which makes entrepreneurs unique is their focus on their internal locus of control, the things which are in their control. What is in our control today, we have met as ecosystem players, we have listened to Dan. Dan has even laid out an offer for us to engage. That is in our locus of control. So if Moses can engage with Dan and something happens in the timber sector, that's success for this meeting. It's a worthwhile investment. We want that to happen. We want you to keep engaging, we want you to keep winning. And the truth is that it is easy, the work which we do is hard to quantify, because usually we are not the people who take the trophy when we succeed. The entrepreneurs are the ones who take the trophy when we succeed. So when a lot of my boss keeps saying that the true test of a BDS provider is if the person he has been supporting says that the success is as a result of me as the entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur is going to say that I have succeeded on my own. And as a BDS provider, that is successful. because the entrepreneur is always supposed to be an independent party. So I want to encourage you, let's keep going. Remember that the Global Entrepreneurship Week is within by the third week of November. Abid is our point person on this. We are going to come to you to request you to do at least one activity during this week. And that activity should be done within what you already do. The entrepreneurs you have, it could be just hosting a live event during that week. It could be just engaging with entrepreneurs. It could be just engaging on your social media presence during that week. We want to use the branding material as much as possible for the Global Entrepreneurship Week. Abid will be sharing that. Please make sure that you have built your contact with us so that we can be able to engage with you more directly. But more than anything, we want to win as businesses. One of the things which is clear is there isn't a household in this country which isn't dealing with this challenge of where is the job of the young person that also going to come from. And when Daniel talked about the fact that one manufacturing job causes a loss of 4 jobs externally, that's the question we need to ask. That's the question we need. There are sector which we have optimized. Yesterday I was participating in the Stanbic Schools Championship, and the minister said that there is a honey expo in Dubai where the best honey is taken. The best honey, coolest honey is supposed to be what they call rainforest honey. That means most of the honey which comes from northern Uganda, from all the rural areas, would qualify for rainforest one, and because it has been in forests. But the issue is that it has to be tested and it has to be a quality. And then someone will make an order of every week, I want you to deliver 100 tons of honey, and by the 3rd week, we don't know where that honey is, isn't it? How do we grow those systems which can be able to collect it, to make sure that quality is there? That is why players like Uganda Manufacturers Association exist. That's why all of us exist. We exist because we want to create that entrepreneur. Nothing is cheaper. There is no better way to get money for a country than to export a company. A company exported is such a powerful tool. There are so many companies which have been exported in Uganda. You know that they were sent by their mother countries to collect money. We also want to send our brands out there to be able to collect money. That's the battle which we are here to do. But as ecosystem players, as we help the companies that people we serve to win, we also have to stand with each other, make sure that our doors are open. One of the reasons why we are keen to make sure, and there are many other players who are doing this. The Kampala Entrepreneurial Ecosystem Initiative is doing this. I do know UEI is doing this. The idea is that we want to make sure that we are meeting, we are energizing one another, we are solving each other's problems. I have someone who is looking for certification. Possibly if I talk to Daniel, Daniel can be able to solve that problem for me. It's a win on my side. My entrepreneur wins, but Daniel, it's a win because he creates a manufacturer. That is the conversation we need to have. So we are going to make sure that we do this more. Our objective was to at least make sure it's quarterly to be able to win. But we need to do this more. We have heard from Uganda Manufacturers Association, we want to hear from other organizations subsequently. Why? If an entrepreneur asks that, how can I be able to certify my product? You should be able to answer that question. And that person should be able to speak there. They should be within our WhatsApp group. So my entrepreneur is located in Gulu and he needs this help. Who is on the ground to be able to give that help? As we do that, our work will be done and our relevance will be maintained. So I want to thank everyone who has joined us today. Please, the people who are online will apologize. We have eaten the breakfast on your behalf. But that's how things are, isn't it? So we'll allow you and release you to also go and have your breakfast. But I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you. Please leave your contact
leave your email address on the WhatsApp so that we can be able to get them. Other people who are here, we have managed to do that. BGC. Oh yes, there is a quick question here from Marija from Growth. Good presentation, great presentation from Uma. Would just like to mention that there are other sectors such as Growth that offer funding and BDS for entrepreneurs. Yes, I think Marija, that is a powerful statement. Dan, I'm going to request a bit to post your number within the link. Please get in touch with Dan, give him a call and tell him that how can we do business. I think there is very few entrepreneurs you meet and they say I have an abundance of capital. Capital is too much. I don't know how to even use this money which I have. But isn't it? If you meet that entrepreneur, they are usually not a Ugandan one, isn't it? But a Ugandan entrepreneur always is looking for what? For capital. So if Profit can engage with your network and be able to get facilitation, we have people from different parts of the country. I've known Mr. Nono for quite a while actually. I think for the better part of about 13 years now. And there are people doing things in various parts of the country. So if you are an ecosystem player going to Gulu, look up Mr. Nono. I think we'll share the attendance sheet and the contact and say that, you know what, you're in this place, how do we engage? But let's not, you know, sometimes when you see how bad things are in the sector, how bad things are with your entrepreneurs, you also join the party of money, isn't it? And you catch yourself also as sad as your entrepreneurs. Your entrepreneurs come to you to energize them, then you tell them, I agree with you, things are bad, we are finished. So that is not what the BDS player should be. What? Should be. That's not your job. Your job is to make sure that you are lifting someone and giving them the facts, but you are lifting them up. Yeah. A quick comment here. Let me just read it before we close. Yeah, Julius Kagamba. Julius, quality standards volumes, by the way. When I was serving in Moscow, Ugandans exhibited hardly at an expo, and a month later, we got a letter from the Russian government informing the embassy that the health authorities of Russia had taken a sample of the honey exhibited by Ugandans and had found that the honey had excellent quality and wanted us to connect them to the Ugandan honey producers. But unfortunately, the volumes were too low. There lies an opportunity. The point is that you will get the contract. They will say this honey is great and we really like it. So give us, at least start off with a small, modest 200, 500 tons. And then you notice that the tons are many, isn't it? There is that story I like. I don't know, you all heard the story of the Minister of Finance and his engagement with goats. Yeah, say goats we have in Uganda. There are many, every household has goats, but a container of goats can be a very complex thing to do, isn't it? And that's the challenge. That's the challenge of the manufacturers. I know manufacturers who have gone into producing sunflower because they can't collect enough sunflower from the farmers. That's what has been biggest providers are supposed to do, to make it easy. And those are tough questions. They are complex questions. Some of them are policy, some of them are the entrepreneur themselves. Also, entrepreneurs get excited, they get the loan for something, and all of a sudden we find they have used the loan for something completely different. All those are the challenges we are dealing with. How do you tell the entrepreneur that if you have borrowed money to buy a machine, don't buy land at a discount because it is cheap, isn't it? Those are the questions which we are dealing with. And I believe that all of us as players, we are moving. One thing which I'll inform you is that at Enterprise Uganda, we are part of the broader process of developing what we call a national BDS framework. And a bit of what it is supposed to do is to kind of show how do we fit together, because there are various BDS providers. When you talk about Pearl Capital is a BDS provider, to be able to grow BDS provider. to be able to fill that gap. But then at the same time, there are those of us who are into providing support, technical support, advisory services. There are people who are into certification. There are people who are into how you cross over to another country. How do you make those networks? And we want to make sure that we expand these families. Every district has a district commercial officer. He's a BDS provider, by and large. And how do we convert and harness his energy? Those are the questions which we need to ask ourselves and be able to transfer our skills. Other than that, we want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time. We're very glad that you joined us, and we look forward to further engagements. Please keep the WhatsApp groups moving and keep engaging with one another. We want to say a special thank you to Dan for sharing your heart with us. We will feel the passion of the job which you have. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's indeed an honor. So I'll hand over to Abid to say bye to us. Yeah?
Thank you very much. A bit interesting that Dan studied IT and ends up managing Uganda Partners Association. It shows us the changing times of where it is more about what is needed and what you really studied. So we have to get into that, and we are hoping that this year's GEW we are going to have more ecosystem engagement. Like Ronald has mentioned, there have been a lot of ecosystem initiatives that are happening all over, but we are bit in a cycle. Each person is doing something on their own, and they are not really reaching out to others. The good thing, more things are happening like this. There are more ecosystems that are happening, and people are reaching out to each other. Like Ronald mentioned, Real, UEE, KIW, Kampala Ecosystem, Entrepreneur Ecosystem Network. A lot of people are doing these things. Yesterday, as in the nutrition ecosystem network, and I was saying, hey, actually, I can even put this to the BDS. In an IT ecosystem network, we're like, hey, we can actually link all of this together. So the engagement that we want to do for GEW this year, Global Entrepreneurship Week, is how can we get all these people networked together? So we are going to ask for everybody just pitch in, send out ideas. We are also bookmarking against other countries, see how they've done it. And we are recognizing that it is important that not one particular ecosystem actor owns the process. It has to be a collaboration. So how do we also get that? We find that in the past there have been these attempts, but that thing of I'm the one who's owning it, I'm the one who's doing this, this has sort of off-put some alcohol from participating. So how do we get these pitch fests moving all over? How do we get ecosystem meetings that are there every Friday on Zoom to be open to other people? How do we get booking group things that are open every Tuesday? Yeah, I'm talking about things that we do, but still, there are a lot of ecosystems that are happening. So we need to get this together. The creative industry, a key part. How do we get it moving? So in the room, we have a few people in the creative industry. We have people who are doing more of spotlighting entrepreneurs. So this GW, we're trying to see, can we use the manufacturing sector as one example and get ecosystem actors to rally around that. So this year we are requesting that we do GW activity, where you request to look at a problem, one issue that you think your organization can solve. We shall have all these activities that you come up with in the same week of Global Entrepreneurship Week from 8th to 14th of November. And we can actually have them all in one place, such that all the different actors and all the entrepreneurs just know what's happening. And we keep these engagements going all throughout the year, so they don't die after this and then you ask, hey, last year, Kumbe, what did you say? No, we should have some continuity presence. So in case you have a particular issue that Dan talked about and you think the organization can come up with a solution, please reach out to us, we organize around it, and then have this engagement drawn out to the public during GW or throughout the month of November. Thank you very much. Everybody that attended virtually. I don't know if there are any comments on chat. Yeah, please post your comments, your email addresses, and we shall also get the recording available to you on all the forums that you can find. This has been recorded on Zoom, also recorded on YouTube. Thank you very much. So, there are people here virtually, we're going to end the meeting, but you can continue. We're going to stop the live stream. There are people here physically, please enjoy that food. See you.